Coach's Corner. No, I just wanted to talk about today, like I've done a lot of videos on pressing and a lot of like tip stuff on pressing and things like that, but I think just the overall thing that people are missing is that, like, when I talk about framing things, like when we do back, we frame the back exercise, like we set in before we start on the angle we want to keep the shoulders down and everything. It's like you have to be really conscious of that on pressing as well, because the idea, like a lot of guys have this idea where it's like if I'm squeezing my pecs are growing, which is what I want because I want bigger pecs. And that's a great goal to have and a great ability to be able to squeeze your pec and fill out your pecs and like really get them full and round. But the thing is, like, people don't understand, to get dimension in your chest and to get, like, when guys hit front doubles or they hit like front lat spreads and they're able to hold that sternum up and that rib cage up high, you have to condition your body for that kind of positioning, right? So you need to have that transfer from your lifting into the stage shot. That's why a lot of guys have a hard time holding front doubles, because they want to lock down on their ab and they want to hold just their arms up, and they think that it's literally the shot, because it's called a front double bicep, is to show my biceps. But you have to understand, it's a shot. Like, bodybuilding isn't about, like, yes, side tricep, you're showing your tricep, but a side tricep shot is about the shot. It's about the overall look of the shot and the aesthetic of the body in that shot. So it's not a tricep shot as much as it says, yes, it's a side tricep. They're not just judging you on your tricep, because if it was, you just go like this and put your tricep out, and whoever had the best tricep would win that shot, right? So getting back to like what I'm talking about, like when you guys are pressing or girls are pressing, it's even more important, because girls in figure have to be up so tall in their shots, right? They have to create this illusion of length. If you don't know how to lift your sternum and open up your rib cage and really how do I say that? I guess engorge your rib cage, you could say. So it's like we're trying to expand that rib cage to be as big as we can, right? So when we set up in pressing motions, that's why you see me, I'm gonna do this with a stupid lightweight because I don't want to exert myself. So you'll see when I sit down, and we'll demonstrate this on a Smith machine, or you can even do it on a flat bench, it doesn't matter. When we start with the dumbbells, it's like I get guys to pull things into them and start in their arch here. So I'm already shoulders retracted and sternum up, and my back's engaged. So my chest is way up, and the dumbbells are sitting in the same spot. There they end up sitting when I roll back. So I'm gonna roll back in this arch and then roll open into that same spot. So they were there sitting down, they're here as I open up. So I'm trying to be here, so how much I want to imagine my rib cage is as big as I could possibly make it. Like I have a barrel chest. So I'm pressing off this huge rib cage, and I'm trying to keep the integrity of that big, huge expanded rib cage as I'm pressing. So I'm catching with that big rib cage, pushing back, pushing. I don't want to do this and fall into my press and then push here and do this, or pinch out here and just push off. Push off. The idea is to get this expansion every time and get that huge arch in the back and that big chest. So I'm trying to be massively up through this and then fall away. So I fall down deep, because the deeper that I fall here, the more pull I get on pec. So if I can start super arched and expanded here, I'm dropping deeper into pec fibers. Whereas if I don't do that and I start here and I lock out like a lot of guys do, and they get themselves set so their shoulders are pinched against the bench, and then they just drop to chest depth and fire. So as you can see here, there's no drop. I'm just stretching to here, firing off this line. Whereas if I'm tucked in, I'm pushing underneath pec. So I'm grabbing from pec and shoving up through pec. I'm driving down deep into elbow because I'm so large, and I'm moving through that pec. So I want to get the maximum amount of stretch as I can on the start of my press. I want to get the deepest negative I can, so that when I go to engage and push from hand, I catch pec. So I force that shoulder back and I push around what I imagine in my head to be a chest that's 3 times the size of mine. So if my chest is literally this wide, I'm trying to be here, to feel that pull of my pec into my armpit, up into my shoulder where it attaches, and I'm trying to push around there. So I don't just want to be here pushing, or these narrow pressing, or guys who go too wide and they come around their press and they just use shoulders. It's like you have to understand that you have to get projection. So if I'm standing here to the side, I don't want to be pressing like this, because as you can see, no chest movement. I want to be here. I want to be up through. So I almost want to be pushing my chest towards that mirror as the bar comes at me. So I'm trying to expand, push, expand, push. So the more guys and girls can learn how to do this lifting and lifting up rib cage, one, it's going to help you in your shot on stage, and two, it's going to help you with development of the pec and protecting your shoulder, because we're not trapping on shoulder and putting all this weight on shoulder, 150-pound dumbbells, just pressing them on shoulder, not knowing where to lock down. Here I can't be anywhere else but here. If I'm here, I can't drift out with my shoulder because I'm too arched and I'm too pinned back. So my elbow can't roll up, my elbow can't roll in. It's stuck on my lat and I'm pushing on that line, right? So I have a stiffer line, a more smooth line that's easier for my body to understand, so I can lock down on a bunch of other things and allow the chest to move freely, right? So a lot of problems guys have is that they're super uncomfortable in the bottom of the lift. So they take weight off, and as soon as the weight comes down, it's this panic to get it up. Whereas I'd rather see someone who's taking their time, not take their time here, but take their time coming out of there. So I want to fall away from my press, and I want to be able to be relaxed here, because I'm so pinched in my back here that I'm supporting my weight there. There's no stress in my shoulders. I'm not stretching across here and in my shoulders I'm feeling this crazy tension. It's like I'm locked in my back, and that's what's supporting my weight. It's offsetting the pressure on the front, right? So now I push through, I put the weight to the front, I catch in the back again. And doing that, massively contracting the back like that and lifting the sternum, will keep your rib cage up. You can't contract your back fully without lifting your rib cage. And that's why a lot of people, it transfers over that issue of rib cage mobility, transfers over in the back, because people can't lift up through things. So they can't drive up through things and roll their shoulders back and lift their sternum, because they just are used to this all the time. So their rib cage might move an inch on any given exercise, but like mine's moving up and down like breathing, right? So I'm conditioning myself to be able to do that. So when guys are able to, guys have a hard time on stage holding shots because they set here on their front double. My shoulder's fucked, so I can't do it, but my shoulder's here, so I'm set up, and then they're kind of hanging. So from the side you see them, you don't see chest, it's just this arm in front, right? And they're like holding their rib cage up, but it's like if you're here and setting up on your lat and setting up and keeping the tension on your sternum and sitting on your lat, you can hold that shot way longer than if you just try and hold your arms up and then hold your body up. Because holding your body up while it's tensed is fucking difficult, right? But once you set up high and then you set your arms where they need to be, it's almost like I don't even need to flex my arm. It's just setting the shot. And that's what people don't get, is that when you're on stage, like I've had guys complain to me, or guys talked to the other day even, it's like when they're in shots, they shake. So someone made a comment to me about Nick last night on stage at the Arnold, saying his posing is so crisp, he never shakes. One, he poses a shit ton. I'm guarantee that. I don't know him well enough to say that, but I would guarantee he does, just by the work he does on stage. But he also knows how to set shots. So mentally you have to think, okay, legs, sternum, arm. And I know I just hold sternum up. As long as I can maintain this sternum and rib cage integrity of keeping it high, my shot will never collapse. So yeah, you can breathe out, tense on different things, right? But it's not this every shot isn't this overall flexing incredible Hulk shit, where it's I'm even holding my side chest and I'm flexing everything I can. It's a shot, guys. It's just a picture. You're creating a silhouette on every shot that they're looking for, right? If you fill out that silhouette better than the next guy, and you present yourself better than the next guy, you'll beat him. Even if you have a physique that's less impressive than him, you'll beat him, right? Or her. Because you know how to present your body and you know how to set the shot and hold it properly. So all this stuff we teach in the gym with pressing and back motion, it all carries over into the show, right? And that's the goal of bodybuilding. It's not just your deadlift's never gonna carry over to your front double bicep. It's just not. Neither is like a massive squat or all this stuff. Like, yes, that stuff's all great because it builds a base of foundation of muscle and creates an environment where muscle's being put on. But it's like at the end of the day, you still have to like be conscious of doing training and doing exercises that enhance your shot, because your sport is posing. It's not being the biggest guy. It's being able to show yourself the best and be the most developed. It has nothing to do with the biggest guy. Because if it was the biggest guy, then Paul Dillette would have won every show back in the 90s. He's a monster. And it just so happens that Ronnie Coleman was the biggest motherfucker on the planet, but he also posed like a fucking little guy. Because he gave a shit and he knew how to pose, right? And he put time into it, and you could tell he lived it and breathed it, and that's what he cared about. So he knew that posing was important, and that's why he was untouchable, because he was the biggest dude and his posing was on point. And that's what you're seeing nowadays with like Nick Walker. He's not the biggest guy, but he's most muscle, that's for sure.